found out there's fishing games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This one looks neat. I wonder who made this. Oh dear God, this is going to suck, isn't it? Hot B. These guys are well known on my channel for making the absolute worst fishing games of all time on the PlayStation 1 with Big Bass World Championship and Black Bass with Blue Marlin. Check out those reviews later. For now, let's see if they could have made a better game that was 2D instead of 3D. After all, not everyone was capable of a smooth transition between pixels and polygons back in the 1990s, as well as the early 2000s.
Son of a bitch!
Given this is the NES, you can't expect much in the way of controls. You only have the D-pad, select, start, B and A button for inputs. But also, given this is Hot B, I was expecting it to control poorly. I'm still suffering PTSD from the PS1 games. Yes, you heard me right. To choose cast, you hit a loading screen. To open the tackle box for lures, you hit a loading screen. To select in between the lures, you hit a loading screen. To select the lure, you hit a loading screen.
Whoa, dude, why are you bringing this from a 0 to a 10? Put that thing away.
But thankfully, this game actually controls well. Well, good enough for an NES 8-bit game anyways. You use the B button to confirm and A to cancel, which may take some getting used to for the younger generation. Controls were backwards in our day. It was the Wild West. We didn't have established controls for games, let alone entire genres, until about the PS2 era. So yeah, you cast with the B button and build your gauge. After that, you can reel in your lure by tapping the B button, using the D-pad to move your lure around and just hope for the best. Because at first, the fish don't seem to bite no matter how long you play. A common issue I have with many fishing games is they make it more difficult into simulation over a more simple arcade approach. Part of why I hated bass landing, but enjoyed Big Ol' Bass 2, Action Bass, and Sega Bass Fishing instead. I enjoy the more arcade approach. This game leads more into simulation, however. This in turn means you need to pick your fishing spot carefully, as different types of fish are in certain locations, like bass prefer the weeds and murky shallows, while you're more likely to catch trout in the more open, deep waters.
Nice.
You only have one body of water to fish in. This is Lake Amata. At first, you can only participate in free fishing mode. You need to catch fish and prep yourself for the tournament. More on that later. For now, let's cover lures and their importance. When you start playing, there's only a small selection of lures. Each one plays differently, like a water skipper which never sinks. Instead, you use it to skip on the water surface, creating vibrations to lure fish to it. Certain fish will prefer this kind of lure. I found those shallow runner lures work best at catching most kinds of fish.
And let's not forget, I do keep that big iron on me. And these pythons, they don't play nice.
As for catching a fish, this requires a lot of patience. Even more so than most fishing games I've played so far, and even more so than in real life. I usually catch catfish and carp galore with just corn and stuff, but here, oh man, it's like a trip to the DMV. You need to get a good cast, make sure your cast as far as possible, then just slowly reel in your line. Eventually something will appear. The fish are like Animal Crossing silhouettes. Just keep reeling it in for the hoping for the best. Once hooked, you begin a painful session of who can put up a better fight. You will hear a beeping sound eventually. This is your line tension. Stop reeling once the sound plays. Relax your line. Take your time. Wear out the fish. It takes two to tango. Just keep the line from getting too far away from you, and eventually, that fish is yours. You can view your current records to see all your catches. This will tell you the fish, its weight, the lure used, and more. I won't bother covering the other mode because it's literally the same thing, just with a goal. No thanks. When you quit fishing, you get a password. You need to write that down to be able to use it later. Yeah, for those who are under the age of 27, there was a time when video games had passwords. There was no autosave or manual saving feature. Yeah, this was because we didn't have hard drives, SSDs, or even memory cards yet. Back then, you wrote down a password that was as long, with confusing fonts making it hard to tell a capital O to a 0, a lowercase j to a capital J, and more. But thankfully, we're long past those dark ages of gaming. Nowadays, we have autosaves, checkpoints, and in-game saving capabilities.
We can't bust heads like we used to, but we have our ways.
So yeah, you need this password to keep your progress and enter the tournament, which I won't bother covering like I said. Honestly, this game doesn't have anything else to it, which I guess makes sense since this is the NES. So let's move on to the overall and be done with this review. At the end of the day, the Black Bass for NES is an okay game. It's nothing special, and it's clear Hot B was never a good developer. Having played their 3D sequels on the PlayStation 1 first, I was hoping their 2D older titles would be less trash. Sadly, that's not really the case. Yet, unlike Black Bass Championship and Blue Marlin with Black Bass or whatever for PS1, the Black Bass for NES is a mediocre game worth checking out if you ever wanted some 8-bit fishing action. Eventually, we'll look into the other NES fishing games, as I want to eventually cover every console's fishing game. Why? Because I have demons in my head telling me to do so. That's why. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. After somehow enjoying the last Hot B fishing game for NES, but only slightly, that being the Black Bass, I wanted to see what else this console had to offer fishing game-wise. Sadly, there wasn't much. So we'll just look into the only other game. Yes, there was only 2 fishing games for the NES. At least, that are in English that I can find. Moby Games is a good place to find stuff, and it's thanks to them I'm able to do more compilations with ease. Both of these fishing games were by Hot B, and the last one is the Blue Marlin, released in the year 1990. Wait, what? 1991? This is a game released 3 years before I was born. The same year we got Super Nintendo in the West. Oh god, this is gonna suck, isn't it?
Yay! No, Chris, not yay.
Unlike the Black Bass, the Blue Marlin focuses entirely about the ocean, fishing up large fish like Blue Marlin, using a boat to hunt down the beast in 8-bit glory, all within 3 locations in Florida, having to wrestle the beast with long reeling sessions, and it's quite flawed, but more on that later. For now, let's move on to the controls, if you can even call them that. Like most bad fishing games, it's always in the controls. If your game controls poorly, your game is shit, plain and simple. So you can guess this game is one of those, especially given this is something developed by Hot B, who has a history on my channel for making bad games. I honestly consider them a bit of an LGN for my channel, alongside the likes of D3 Publisher. When it comes to how the controls work, let's just say it's not great. You can choose your fishing location with the D-pad by going to the center, left, and right, but only by using the left and right buttons. Piloting the boat around is a bit clunky, akin to the original Resident Evil 1, which I'll review one day since GOG remastered the original trilogy. Oh boy, I can't wait to get to those, hopefully by Halloween. Trying to steer a boat shouldn't be difficult, but here it is. Accelerating with B and D-pad for changing direction, except you can bump into everything with a huge hitbox that leads to non-stop crashing with pop-up warnings you are damaging the boat before eventually leading to an anticlimactic Titanic moment. Trying to catch a fish is impossible. You have to reel in the fish, but the line is always breaking. You can alter your fishing rod's position, but it only leads to more lines breaking. No matter what you do, the fish always gets away. It's a waste of time playing this game. Nothing's ever explained to you. You're just expected to know what to do. Like, what the fuck is up with this shit? When starting the game, you can set up a player profile and using classic passwords, save and load it. Of course, you can only really name your profile, there's no choosing gender, race, outfit, and stuff like that in more modern fishing games. But I figured I'd mention it anyways, just for those out there that enjoy customization of any caliber in their games like I do. While the game gives you 3 locations to fish, it's all the same anyways. You got the dock where you go to turn in or change location, rocks to avoid to not break your boat, and the same exact fish in each location. That's it. There's no real reason for location variety outside of giving you the illusion of choice and value, which I do not like at all. Just pick whatever location looks nicer and lose your marlin for brain's mind at the monotonous gameplay. When you begin your quest for the Blue Marlin, you'll be in a boat, kind of like Jaws for the NES. Except here your goal is to drive around, keep your line in the back aligned with the schools of fish that swim around randomly. Once you get your line over the fish, it may lead to a hook which begins your reeling session. Or, if you're unlucky, the fish gets scared off by the boat, or just ignore the line.
Damn it!
But if you do get a bite, you get a neat little message that made me chuckle because I still have a sense of humor straight out of middle school. What? I watch Adult Swim, okay?
What?
Oh my.
If you can somehow miraculously keep the line from not breaking right away, you'll be treated to a 5-minute long plus reeling session with a fish. It takes forever, and nothing is really explained. Not even your guide tells you what to do, so I'm stuck constantly dealing with line breaking or losing the line because it got too far out. Or of course the fish biting off the hook because a goddamn shark appeared. At least I'm thinking that's a shark. It's hard to tell. NES graphics weren't exactly great even for their time after all. Seriously, what the fuck is that thing?
Bite, bite, bite. Eat food for strength to bite, bite, bite. Make little turtles to bite even more.
So yeah, just trying to reel in the fish, but most of the time your line just keeps going even if you attempt to stop it or reel it in, leading to non-stop losing your fish screens. Get used to seeing them, it's all you're going to see. At one point, however, I did hold out for almost 5 minutes, getting a big boy. As you fight the Blue Marlin, it'll eventually start to rest from getting tired. But it'll eventually start fighting back. Every time you hear that beeping sound straight out of a nails on a chalkboard, you need to relax the line. It's going to break otherwise. Problem is, it's non-stop no matter what you do. You can move your pole, it'll still beep. You could stop reeling it in, it'll still beep. You can reel it in, it will still beep. The game just wants to torture your eardrums. Eventually, the fish got away, and I felt defeated. That's the entirety of this game in a nutshell. There's nothing else to talk about. The music sucks, the sound effects suck, and there is no other modes or even multiplayer. It's a bad 8-bit fishing game by my LGN that is Hot B, which stands for Hot Piece of Shit.
That's a good one.
At the end of the day, the Blue Marlin is one of the worst fishing games I've ever played yet on my channel. It's easily the worst of the NES games, and worse than any of the PlayStation 1 games I've covered as well, which I did review every fishing game for the PS1, so go check that out after this. As for the Blue Marlin, it's an easy not recommended, unless you hate yourself. It is garbage. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Why are we still here?